right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our discussion. My name is Amy Vanderjack, and I am a coach supervisor with our Quality First program at Association for Supportive Childcare. And today I'm joined with Dr. Isela Garcia from the Alesi Group. Thank you for joining us. If you guys have questions as we're talking, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and we will do our best to get those answered for you guys. So our topic today is really around supporting children with behaviors. Right now, we're in this pandemic. It's a totally different experience that they're having, and they've been having to socially distance from their peers, from other family, things like that. And so there's some behaviors that have been exhibited, and we're wanting to really find out what those might be and how we can support our kiddos during this time. So. But before we get into that, Dr. Garcia, again, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and the work you've done with children?
Yeah, well, thank you, first off, for asking me to do this. I'm excited to be able to connect with your audience and the people that you provide services to. I think it's a really important thing to make those connections and let people know that there are resources that they can turn to. So I appreciate that. I have almost 30 years, so I'm at 29 years of experience in early childhood education. Most of my work, however, has been in what's considered crisis intervention, or is considered working with families and children who might be experiencing some significant stressors. And I started as a floating assistant teacher. And what that means, for those of you who aren't in the world of early childhood, it means you go wherever you're needed. Mm-hmm. And so I learned by doing that. And I quickly moved into teaching positions. I've been a director. And one of the things that I'm very, very proud of is that wherever I was a director, because I was a director 3 times, we really built a cohesive unit where I think collectively we provided high quality services to children. But my area of expertise is really working with kiddos who have experienced some traumatic experience, their own experiences in life, often because we're under our own stressors, right? And we've had our own challenging experiences of life. And so that's kind of what I've done professionally.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's really great. Then you definitely should have a lot of good insight for us on this topic today. So thank you. Okay, so we do have a few questions that have come up specifically that we've gotten a lot from parents, from childcare providers, just people that work with kids, right? So currently with the changes that have happened, so again, social distancing, staying at home, losing that physical connection with family, friends, peers, what behaviors might children be exhibiting at home right now because of that?
Okay, so this is an interesting question because there isn't one right answer. Mm-hmm. It's going to be dependent on your child's temperament. It's going to be dependent on who they are as individuals. Now, I'm a storyteller, so if you don't like stories, take the session. My daughter is 12, and so she's out of that early childhood realm. But in terms of her personality, she is very introverted, which means that she needs to be alone to fill up in order to be able to be in the world. Mm-hmm. But having said that, she's also extroverted, which means that she likes to have connections with her peers. She feeds on connections, but she needs to shut down at this, right after that. So it's this weird sort of balance between the two. Now, watching her has been fascinating to me because she does really well on her. She's a single kid. She does really well by herself, but there's this need that she has to have social engagement. Now, based on who she is, her behaviors she's sometimes clingy. She wants more of what we would perceive as clingy. She wants more of mom time. Mm-hmm. She wants to engage in more conversations. She wants to be held. She's 12. Imagine holding a 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So knowing that about an older kid, let's zero down to little kids. And so when we're talking about younger children who are still figuring out what the heck is going on, I mean, they can't make sense out of what's happening outside of their family unit. And so what's your child, the way they're going to behave is based on their personality and their temperament. Yeah. And it's also going to be based on how we are in their presence. So when they feel our anxiety, they may be responsive to that. So we might see what we would consider inappropriate behavior. We may even see some children backsliding if they're potty trained, and then now they're not, having nightmares, especially if they're being exposed to a lot of things that might be a little scary to them.
Right.
We might have some children who are, maybe use thumb sucking as a way to calm themselves when they were younger. They haven't done it in a while. You may see that again. You may see kids just sort of being more explosive and melting down. We have to get into the understanding that their behavior is simply an expression of who they are and what they're experiencing in the moment. And so there isn't one right answer. And the key, I think, to being such a fully present parent is to know, and many of us know this because of our temperament of our children. You have two kids and your temperament is so different, that to zero in on what each one of them needs in that specific moment.
And speaking of needs, how do you think adults can help identify those needs, especially because they're struggling during this time too?
Okay, so that's a two-part question.
Okay.
So we have to start with the grown-up. Okay, we always have to start with the grown-up. So whoever the grown-up is, if it's mom, if it's dad, if it's grandma, if it's uncle, whoever's taking care of the children. So the grown-up is the one who provides the sense of safety and a feeling of security. Okay, I call that the pillar of strength. The grown-up is the pillar of strength. And we don't even have to say anything. Just our presence exudes what we're feeling.
Yeah.
So kids are, especially children under the age of 6, they are pros at picking up on that sensation of whether you're in a good place or you're in a not so good place.
Yeah.
And when I was a classroom teacher, side story, because I'm a storyteller,
Okay.
I would have one of those mornings where everything would go wrong. I'd lose my keys. I was running late. I couldn't find my other shoe. Those mornings that we all have, right?
Yep.
I get into the classroom and I'm like just glad I got there on time. Kids are coming in. I'm trying to, get everything going because I'm now, 30, 40 minutes late. I usually get there early to get everything set up. So I'm still in that place. I'm still in that hurried place. I'm still in that sort of panic stage. And what happens inevitably is my kids start to act up. Yeah. My kids start to transition in a much more sort of rocky way because they can sense what I'm bringing in.
True.
So so having said all that, it's important for us to be aware. Now, I'm not saying that we don't feel what we feel, because we need to feel what we feel. If we're feeling anxiety, if we're feeling uncertainty, fear, feel what you feel.
Yeah.
Feel what you feel.
Yeah.
But we have to take responsibility for our own feelings, our own emotional state of being. So I am feeling frustrated. I am feeling afraid. I am feeling whatever I am feeling, and we need to own that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we are unaware that, and then when our child does something, we lash out because we are in our own state of panic or uncertainty or doubt, and that what that does is we're not able to make rational decisions for our children, and so a child does something, becomes annoying to us, and so we lash out.
Yeah.
When we do that, that's not about the child. That's not about the child. Even when the kid is like coloring on the walls, it's a big canvas.
Yeah.
It's a space to color. We lash out, but we have to own it. So that blame that happens sometimes during times like this, because I'm in my own state of being, we want to blame. Stop doing that. What did I tell you? You know better than that. We've got to pull that back in, rein that back in. I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a deep breath because those are my emotions. I'm going to own it. I'm going to take a deep breath, and then now I'm going to respond to my child. Okay? So that I call it a hiccup. That's the pause between being reactive. Oh my goodness, what are you doing right now? You know better than that. I told you that. That state of being is, we're projecting our own uncertainty, doubt, and fear. Okay? And so we've got to rein that back in, become aware that we're starting to go there, and own it.
Yeah.
And so when we can breathe, it helps us move from the freak out place to the place where we can actually make some good decisions, better decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's, we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that, and some of you might be watching going, oh, I did that like 10 times yesterday. So this isn't with the intent to try to make anyone feel guilty. It's like when we grow in awareness, we can start to create that shift and that change within us. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all a process, and we have ups and we have downs. And so we just have to own that and take responsibility for our behavior and our actions. Okay. So that's the first part. And the second part, what was the second question again?
So it was like one, starting to identify children's needs that they might have. So it's sounding like first you got to recognize your own, what's going on with you. But then, how do they do that once they're able to get past their own feelings and then looking at their kids?
Got it. So kid goes, mommy, 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 I need you, right? They start whining and they start crying, they start melting down. Okay.
Yeah.
What we tend to do is we tend to look at in the moment, the kid's whining, or we put a label to it. The kid's being bad, or the kid is, he knows better than that. We do that initially, right?
Yeah.
So what I encourage folks to do is to stop before we do that. That's the awareness piece. Stop before we do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then just put this in your mind, just this thought. I wonder what she might need right now. I wonder what she might be telling me right now. Okay. Now, here's the challenge. Now, your folks probably have never been to any of my sessions, so I'll give you a little bit about me. My personal self. I was a child who was in an abusive home as a little girl. And so having said that, what happened in my home was that if I acted out, there was a direct attack because the perception was that I was trying to get attention.
Yeah.
The perception was that I was trying to, act out for whatever. And it's oftentimes we're making a connection to he just wants attention. He just wants attention right now.
Yeah.
So we have to shift the perspective. It's not attention, it's connection. It's connection. Children are seeking they are seeking connection in terms of our physical presence.
Yeah.
They are seeking love, an expression of love. They are seeking comfort. They are seeking stability, and they want to be heard. So when a child is acting out, if I think, okay, what might he be telling me right now? What might he need right now? It provides for me that pause from that state where I want to react to being much better able to be present. And so what that means is now I can enter the experience and say, it looks like a hug might help right now. Would you like a hug?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you might be feeling frustrated right now. I'm wondering if, because I'm having to do some work right now, that you really want to sit with mama, but I'm having to do some work right now. And that must feel really hard.
Yeah.
You might really, really want a hug right now. Or tell me, and I'm talking like littles. So if you've got older kids who are able to articulate what they need, and I used to say to my daughter, tell me what it is that would be most helpful to you right now. Yeah. What would be most helpful? Would you like a hug? Would you like 2 minutes of playing together? Like, what are the things that we can do to help you feel better? Yeah. When a child is misbehaving, whatever your perception of that is, look at it through a different lens. And literally, like in the beginning, I tell parents, like your lens is how you currently see things. If you're trying to shift that lens, imagine yourself putting on a different set of glasses and looking at it through the lens of love.
Yeah. What
is he telling me? And how can I ensure that in my engagement that I'm about to step into is the expression of love? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Those two questions of like, what might he be needing right now, or what might she be telling me? That's just such a huge shift in thinking for sure. And definitely like remembering like you're not perfect. So it's not going to happen every time and it's okay. But just continuing to shift that thinking. Yeah.
let me say something about it not being perfect. So what's interesting about this, when a parent or teacher, because this works in both places, is trying to change something in their behavior or how they interact and engage, particularly when a child is exhibiting some more challenging behaviors, kids kind of go, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And so what happens sometimes is they push harder because their weight, the brain seeks patterns. So it's trying to push you into doing what you usually do.
Gotcha.
And so then we go, "Well, see, it didn't work. I tried it didn't work." Well, no, the child was just trying to create a pattern that was familiar to him or her.
Gotcha.
So what we have to do is go, "Oh, no, we're going to ride this wave." That's why I said we're going to ride this wave until it becomes part of my habit and a new pattern that we have between us.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to, I don't think I've ever thought about it like that way. And that's really interesting to know. So good. So keep trying. Right. Yeah. So are there any other things that parents can do to address some of these behaviors, or like specific strategies outside of just pausing and kind of asking what they think they might need?
Okay, so first thing, always is connect. So connection governs behavior. That was, I think Dr. Becky Bailey said that from Conscious Discipline. Connectedness governs behavior. And so we have to make sure, and even when I was a leader of my programs, I had an 80-20 rule. 80% of my time had to be with people. So I had, you know, like everybody else, the 8,000 emails I had to get to, the things that I had, my to-do list that never ended. Connection always comes first. So it's with your child, it's if you're a coach supervisor, whatever you do, it's the people connection has to come first. And so I would look at as you're looking at your day, how am I making intentional connections with my child? Okay, how am I, and what does that look like in practice? So let me give you some examples of that. In practice, what that looks like is our baseline stuff. Hug, sitting on the lap, doing some lap reading is what we call lap, and then getting a book and reading, telling stories. You can tell a story what you see outside. You don't even need books. You can look out the window and you can go, "I see," or do one out of imagination. So you're looking outside in your street and you say, "I see a huge dinosaur walking down the street. What do you see?" And then keep going back and forth to create a story together. It could be, and we need to kind of get out of the idea that like we need to teach to our children in these moments. It's not that. It's not what color is it, how many are there, what letter. It's not that. It's we are creating these intimate connections where the child feels seen and heard. Okay, so that's first. The second is show, don't tell. Okay, show, don't tell. So we too often make an assumption that because a child recognizes the language you use and you make a request, go get this on, go put your shoes on, go pick this up, that they're at 100% going to be able to do that. That's not how we function in the world. Even us adults, you know, on our best day, we function at maybe 60% on task. Right? On our best day. So we have these expectations of children that we can't even sustain ourselves. So if you want a child to get their shoes on, and for whatever reason, and let's say he is 5 and he knows how to get his shoes on, maybe this is him telling you, "I just need a moment with you. I really want to be with you because I need that connection right now." So instead of going, "You know how to do this, what's wrong with you?" You go, "Come." So come is the part of the script. That's the invitation. "Come, let's get your shoes on. Come, let's pick up the Legos. Which ones would you like to pick up? The red Legos or the blue Legos?" Come, so it's come, it's show, don't tell. So, and the invitation is the word come instead of go. Sometimes when you send a kid to go do something, they go there and there and there and there and there and everywhere, right? And you lose it because they didn't do what you asked them to do. Well, the truth is, you sent them away.
That is true.
4, 5, and 6. And something is just as entertaining or engaging to them. And here's an example of that. If you're a shopper like me, I go to the store to get something very specific, but I have to stop and feel the clothes on the rack. I have to stop and take a look at the sale sign over here. There's a discount wall now I have to stop and look at. Exact same behavior. But we have low tolerance for whatever reason, right? Because we think that children should know and act right, when in fact they're just learning how to be in the world.
Yeah.
So, right? And we have those same exact behaviors. I mean, if you've ever been to the store and you're a shopper like me, you do the same thing. So you show, don't tell, or show and tell. So you say, let me show you. We're going to put your shoes on. First, we're going to untie this one and put it on. And you want to talk through everything you're doing. And I'm telling you, I did that with my child, and now she talks nonstop. But it's a good thing, because that promotes the foundations for reading and writing well. And there's connection involved in that. Right. So that would be my second thing: show, don't tell, or show and tell, right? And so do both. And then the next is celebrate. Celebrate the moments that are important, because it's the little moments that are important. And sometimes when we're in our own state of overwhelm, we forget to be fully present. And let me define fully present as what it means for me. We get stuck in our head. We get stuck in the place of worrying about what's going to happen, which you have no control over. Or you're worried about something that happened in the past, which already happened. You can't change that. Yeah. So we are taken from the present moment. We're projecting out our fears to the future. We're concerned about the past, and it robs us from the experience of the present moment. Yeah. It robs us from the moment with our child. It robs us from the moment of appreciating what you have around you. And it robs us from seeing the little things. Like, I have my coffee every morning. I'm probably all day long. I'm not going to lie. I have the best coffee ever. But I appreciate that cup of coffee. I really, truly appreciate that cup of coffee. I just bought a watermelon yesterday. Yeah. And I opened that watermelon, and I appreciate the texture and the taste. And with salt, I eat it with salt. So it's like those moments we rob ourselves of having the gratitude and the experience of celebrating those moments. The more we can do that ourselves and do that with our child, the better you're going to see those natural state of connections occur more frequently. Gotcha. So I think those things, if we could do those consistently, not only will your child start to, I think, be responsive to that, but you'll start to feel better as well. And there's a connection between those two things. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely the being present part is something I struggle with and have to practice a lot. But those are all really great ideas, and hopefully doing it consistently will be helpful for people. So, yeah. Okay, so thinking about currently how we are doing a lot of virtual only connections with people, how do you think children's social and emotional needs could be navigated or supported during this time for them with either their peers or with other people that they're connecting virtually? They're not physically connected, but that way, is there anything that we can do to help support that? It's a hard question, you know. I think that I have said for years now, you know, get kids out of the screen, get them off the screen.
I know, we went the opposite.
For screen, and now we're trying to connect via screen.
Yeah,
it's really hard, because for those of us who are, you know, those believers in early childhood who think children need not anything with batteries, that they need stuff like masking tape and boxes and you know, recycled materials, and they need to build things and create things, that now we're in this virtual space where we're trying to just do what I believe is foundational needs, right? In this way. It's a very challenging question. I think that first off, one of my concerns is that we shouldn't force children into the experience. Yeah. And I am seeing in classrooms that are trying to be run virtually. I just had a conversation with a colleague of mine where they were trying to do circle time for toddlers on Zoom. And I was like, is that real? In real life, when I was a toddler teacher, because I've done all ages, when I was a toddler teacher, we didn't actually do circle time. We did I hope you come to my circle time is what it was, right? That's what appropriate circle time is. I used to bring a basket, and I would have all kinds of stuff with a blanket over it, and I would like unveil it and pull stuff and say, maybe they'll come. Maybe I'll sing some songs and get really animated. Maybe they'll join us.
Yeah.
So the idea of us forcing children or trying to coerce them to be in front of a screen to connect, no go. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. You want, I would say in terms of what we share online should be about who we are as individuals. And so what I mean by that is, or we do stuff like singing songs and dance. So, we put on music and we dance and that sort of thing, but we share about what did you do and what did you do and what's your experience. And if there are groups coming together, so let's say parents are coming together with, let's say they have play dates where you've got 5 or 6 families that come together, children play usually maybe once a week, they meet at the park. Let's just say that's the scenario. If you're Zooming together, it may be just because they're little, 4, 5, and 6. My child at 12 doesn't know what to say to the person, her best friend. She's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So what you do is you make connections. Oh, Maria has those same shoes. Look at that. Let's look at that. So we make connections, telling stories about one another. Okay. Yeah. And that in the classroom too, it's no different. When you're sitting at a mealtime, the little kids want to go, teacher, look at what I did. Teacher, look what I said. Teacher. And what we need to do is show where we are similar and where we are different. Because we're all very unique. And so we go, oh my goodness, she got a puppy last week and you just got a puppy this week. So we intentionally try to make those kinds of connections. Right now, it's virtual. And the key to supporting children's emotional well-being, even our social well-being, is connection. It's touching, it's hugging, it's all of those things that make us feel good, right?
Right.
And so we have to try to replicate in that way, but where I lean into is how do we have joyful experiences? Because joy resonates at that same level as love does. And so how do we create the experience to be a joyful expression of who we are?
Yeah, thank you. Thinking about those, it is definitely difficult connecting virtually. And, and then I've seen it too with my stepson, and he's like, they put the phone near each other and talk to each other, but not actually like looking at each other, or they play games with each other. Like, it's really interesting to watch them.
I'm older than you, but back in the day, we used to, like, my husband and I have been together almost 30, well, no, we've been together 30 years, going on 30 years too. And so I was telling Gia, our daughter, last night, actually, I said, we used to stay on the phone for like 4 hours, like the physical phone, right? And we wouldn't like say anything. We would just listen to each other breathe.
Right, yeah.
Like, you have a friend you can do that with.
Yeah, that's true. I've had that happen before too.
Now. Like they sit and they stare at each other. Okay, I don't have anything else to say. I'm like, go find Pinterest has these awesome story starters or journal starters. Like those table conversation starters. Go find one of those. That's another good thing to do too.
Yeah, good
find
idea.
A conversation starter and just have a conversation, and some of them are so cool to kind of think through.
Yeah.
So that would be a good way to kind of encourage that social engagement that I know so many kids, especially our older kids, are starving for, but they don't know what to do outside of play like a game together.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just a different time.
It totally is. Yeah. No, I like that idea of just having the conversation starter questions. I mean, sometimes I feel like I need that with people too. So that's a good idea. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for those suggestions. Okay, so some things in thinking about some of our programs that we're working with, and with the recommendations from the CDC and wearing masks, there are some that have had their teachers wearing masks, and then children are being dropped off in the front of the office and not being able to be walked back with their parents. So some of them are experiencing a little bit more fear or anxiety around this person that's not my teacher walk me back with this mask on. Is there anything that caregivers can do to help make this transition a little bit easier?
All right, so I have to start with the grown-up first, okay? I have to start with the grown-ups first because I think if you are a leader of a program, I think we have to create a space, sort of a haven where people can express their concerns, their uncertainty, and their doubt. Like we have to hold space is what I call it. We have to hold space for people to express those emotional experiences that they're having. But at the same time, and there is a but in that, at the same time, we have to recognize we're showing up for kids each day. And what is it that children need? Like, what is it at the deep? And what I worry most about, I worry about all kiddos, but our infants and tots are really of concern to me. Yeah. I was a classroom teacher. I used to have my hair like bright red. I mean, like fire engine streaked red. When I was a director, when I was a director, I was a teacher many times just because I couldn't find teachers qualified enough to work with the severity of what was happening in our classrooms. So I had like blonde streaks and red streaks and all that. I changed my hair. I had this group of kids for like 2 or 3 months, and my commitment was 6 months. So I had to stay with them 6 months because of attachment. So, and then I would train a teacher to come in after me, day by day, training them exactly what to do and how to do it. And 3 months in, I changed my hair color. My kids freaked out. They were like, "Why did you change your color? Why did you? You're not supposed to have yellow in your hair like that." You know, and they were like upset. So I remember I had a morning circle all set up, ready to go. And they looked at me like, "We are not doing circle today. We are having this conversation about your hair."
That's
so
awesome.
I think about that. And, you know, it was just hair.
Yeah.
It wasn't a mask in front of my face. And, you know, so much is expressed through our smile.
Yeah.
And through how we form our mouth when we talk and we engage with each other. So I've sat on this for quite a bit of time thinking about what might this look like. And I've asked some colleagues, of course we're having these conversations at the national level. There are a couple strategies that I think that we can do. I'm going to tie those two things with the grown-up piece in a minute. But they do have masks that are like the plastic shield. That I think are better than, but I just don't know, you know, I don't work for the CDC. I don't know what's going to protect us more. I don't even know what classrooms are using. So whether they really are protecting us at the level that we think they are, I don't know.
Right.
But the other strategy I think to use, and my question to you before I go on to this part, are they taking the masks off in the classroom, or are they keeping them on all day long?
So I think it depends on the program. There are some that the teachers are wearing them all day long, and there's others that I've heard that they're wearing masks in the front and they're wearing them to take the children back, but then the teacher is not. So it's more of that transition back to the classroom, but it depends on the program.
Okay. So this is my concern of keeping it all day long. And I know people are in stores and we want them to, and I'm not saying not to do that. So no one walk away and say, Isela's saying to take the masks off. Yeah. That's my concern. If I'm in a state of frustration or fear, anxiety or stress, okay? Yeah. And it might just be because the transition is hard. You know, kids are running all over the place. It's just a hard transition. It may not be about what's happening in the world. I pull in oxygen in order to calm my body, right? To calm my emotional state of being. That's how I do it. So when I'm obstructed in that way, I get concerned about teachers being able to regulate at the level that they need to in order to be present with kids. Yeah. So that's a concern. The other, as they're receiving children, so if they go in and they do take them off, I would take a picture, 2 things. I would take a picture of me as a teacher, and I would put it on my lanyard, or I would put it on as a badge or whatever. Yeah. And then I would take a picture of me and the child and I together. And when I go pick up the kid at the door, if that's what is expected in the program, I would show the child the picture of us together.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And then I might even pull it down a little bit, but I would show us together and I think that again, you have to stay on top of it. You got to make sure you're consistent every day. You can't do something one time and then fall out. You know, there's got to be a system you're creating where you have like a box at your door and it has all the pictures of whatever, both teachers. If you have 2 teachers, if you have 3 teachers, you need to do one of each because one might be absent tomorrow. Right. And so you want to pull that card. You want to take it to the door, show the child. If the child resists, the words that we use are, I know you really want to stay with mama, don't you? Or you really want to stay with daddy, I know. And so to acknowledge that experience of release is a really important thing, because for some children, that transition just on a regular day is hard. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure that we're saying, I hear how this transition is hard. Sometimes what happens is we take things personal and the child is rejecting, especially if we're having to wear the mask and we're upset that we have to wear the mask. Then we're like, I'm not scary. You know, we just need to stay calm. We can pull it down. We can show the picture. Or if you can't do all the pictures, and they don't have to be fancy. They don't have to be, you know, from Walgreens. They can literally come off your black and white copy machine at work, and just have them so that they're readily available, or take a picture of yourself so you can show that to the child. So those are the couple things that I would recommend.
Yeah, I like those. Those are good suggestions. Thank you. And last question, thinking about the programs again that we're working with, coaches are thinking of ways and strategies to support some of the teachers that are still feeling like they want to return, but they're uncertain and they might be scared or nervous. Is there anything they can do in particular to help them feel a little bit better, or anything that we can do to support them, those teachers?
There's a lot of stuff, but I think the thing that we have to get really good at, I think, when we're providing support, whether it be by way of being a coach, a leader, a consultant, the way I am, it's like when we're present, we have to recognize, we have to have complete and total self-awareness. What are we bringing in? What are we bringing in terms of our uncertainty, doubt, and fear? Okay. And that has to come first, because emotions are contagious.
Yeah.
And we don't want to bring in our own uncertainty. Okay. Because all that does is it creates a platform for us to be uncertain together. Okay. And so we've got to kind of check ourselves as we walk in the door. And we're going to be doing that in the session. But the next part to this is really learn to hold space. And so what that means is that I can listen and I can be fully present without judgment. And that's the part that a lot of us struggle with, because we are paid to give our opinion.
Yeah.
We are paid to say, this is what needs to happen and how it needs to happen, or this is what should be, blah, blah, blah. And so that without judgment piece means that I am completely and totally open-hearted.
Yeah.
So if someone is uncertain, if someone has doubt, if someone is fearful, I think it's allowing the space for them to have that experience. Okay, so I'm saying that piece.
Yeah.
Having said that, we are also here to be fully engaged and fully present for children. And so some of the language that I might use in this situation is to acknowledge what they are expressing to me. I know it must feel really scary being here.
Yeah.
Because we have all these little ones who, you know, they've got boogers all over the place. That's the reality of our work, right?
Right. Yeah.
Even as a consultant, I walked out with boogers across my camera. Is what it is. So that's just, and we can't expect young children to social distance, or even older children for that matter. I think that whole idea is ridiculous. My child, again, who's 12, says to me 2 days ago, she goes, I want someone else to hug besides you. Even at that level, she wants with her friends.
Something, right?
We have to recognize that we show up each day for children. And so I understand it may feel very overwhelming, and you have a lot of fear that you're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
And then I would take a breath, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, and say, what can we do to best support Amanda right now so that she feels safe in your presence?
Yeah.
Feels safe at school. What can we do?
Yeah.
And so it's that question of going, okay, I'm going to hold space, and I'm not, you can feel whatever you feel, and I want you to have that experience. We show up for kids, and we have to show up in the state where we are able to be a pillar of strength for them, their connection, their safety, and their love. And so that would be my question is, what can we do? What can you do? What would this look like for Amanda, for the classroom to feel safe when we're feeling uncertain right now? And so it's those kind of probing questions And then quite honestly, I would do some modeling of that. So sometimes when I model for teachers the connection, it gives them permission to let go of whatever feelings they've been attached to. So like, and I'll give you an example, a kid who's misbehaving, bites, kicks, all of those things. Perception is he's a bad kid. If I didn't have him in my classroom, then I would be able to do this, this, and this, and this, but I have to always pay attention to him, da, da, da. So we hold on to that belief system. It's the story we tell ourselves. So we hold on to the story of the child. So when I come in and I model love and connection and being completely wholehearted, it gives them permission to let go of the thing that they were most comfortable with. And so that is super powerful when done well. But I'm going to go back again. If you're in your own state of uncertainty, it will not work. It won't work because it's like sharks to blood. Yeah. Like if you are uncertain and she's uncertain, we are now collaborating in this space of uncertainty.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Thank you so much for that information. It is a lot to take in, but I think it's been really helpful and valuable. And I know that the teachers that will be seeing this, the parents and caregivers that will be seeing this will be really appreciative of that. So I really thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we sign off today?
No, but I do want to just kind of let people know that I have a website, AlesiGroup.com. Now, Alesi is just my name backwards. So it's ALESI group.com. I do provide professional development support, and I've been thinking about doing a parenting group, like a parenting opportunities for support in that area. So if you're interested in that reach out to me. I'm more than willing to provide whatever level of support folks are needing these days. So that's it.
Awesome. All right, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today. And please let us know what any topics you might have that you'd like us to address as well. So again, thank you so much, Dr. Garcia, and have a great day.